Luna Martinez thought she knew what betrayal looked like. She was wrong. Standing in her wedding dress 6 months later, staring at DNA test results that would shatter everything she believed about family, trust, and the woman who raised the man she married, Luna realized that some lies are so elaborate, so calculated, that they redefine the very meaning of deception. This is the story of how one announcement at a wedding reception became the first domino in a chain of revelations that would expose a web of manipulations spanning decades, and how Luna discovered that sometimes the most devastating truths come disguised as family celebrations.
Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed. Because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Luna Martinez had dreamed of her wedding day since she was 7 years old, drawing pictures of flowing white dresses and flower-covered arches in the margins of her school notebooks. At 24, she finally had it all. A gorgeous venue overlooking Lake Tahoe, 200 guests who genuinely cared about her and Marcus, and a dress that made her feel like she was floating on clouds. The Riverside Manor had been booked solid for 18 months, but somehow they'd gotten lucky when another couple canceled. The October weather was perfect, crisp enough to be romantic, warm enough for the outdoor ceremony Luna had always wanted. She'd spent the morning getting ready with her 3 best friends from college: Sarah, who kept everyone organized with military precision; Jess, who made everyone laugh until their makeup artist threatened to start over; and Riley, who cried happy tears every time she looked at Luna in her dress. "I can't believe you're actually doing this," Riley said for the 100th time, carefully adjusting Luna's veil. "Remember when you swore you'd never get married because you didn't want to deal with in-laws?" Luna laughed, the sound bubbling up from pure joy. "That was before I met Marcus's family. His mom, Patricia, is honestly like the mother I never had. She's been more supportive of this wedding than my own parents." It was true. Patricia Blackwood had embraced Luna from the moment Marcus brought her home 2 years ago. While Luna's own mother criticized everything from the venue choice to the color scheme, Patricia had offered to help with whatever Luna needed. She'd even insisted on paying for the flowers, massive arrangements of white roses and eucalyptus that transformed the reception space into something from a fairy tale. The ceremony itself felt like something out of a movie. Marcus looked impossibly handsome in his navy suit, his dark hair perfectly styled, his green eyes bright with unshed tears as Luna walked down the aisle on her father's arm. Her dad, usually reserved to the point of seeming cold, whispered, "I'm proud of you, sweetheart," before placing her hand in Marcus's. Pastor Williams, who had married Luna's grandparents 53 years earlier, spoke about the sacred bond of marriage with such warmth that even the most cynical guests found themselves dabbing at their eyes. When Marcus and Luna exchanged vows, words they'd written together during countless late-night conversations about their future, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. "Luna," Marcus said, his voice steady but the emotion in his eyes, "you turned my world upside down in the best possible way. You challenge me to be better, support me when I fall short, and love me even when I leave dishes in the sink for 3 days straight." The crowd chuckled. "I promise to love you through every season of our lives, to be your partner in all our adventures, and to never take a single day with you for granted." Luna's vows brought Patricia to tears. "Marcus, you showed me what it means to be truly seen and valued. You make me feel brave enough to dream bigger and strong enough to handle whatever comes our way. I promise to love you not just for who you are today, but for who you're still becoming. I promise to choose us every single day, no matter what challenges we face." The kiss that sealed their marriage felt like coming home and embarking on an adventure simultaneously. As they walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, Luna caught sight of Patricia in the 3rd row, beaming with pride and dabbing at her eyes with an embroidered handkerchief. The reception space looked even more magical in the early evening light. String lights created a canopy of stars above the dance floor, the lake reflected the golden sunset, and the scent of roses and pine trees mixed in the mountain air. Luna had changed into a shorter reception dress, still white but easier to dance in, and she felt giddy with happiness as she and Marcus made their rounds to greet guests. Everything was perfect. Too perfect, Luna would think later. The kind of perfect that makes you forget to watch for storm clouds gathering on the horizon. The trouble started during the dinner hour. Luna noticed Patricia seemed unusually animated, almost fizzing with excitement as she moved between tables. She kept checking her phone and glancing at the head table where Luna and Marcus sat with their wedding party. At one point, she saw her deep in conversation with Marcus's aunt, Helen, their heads bent close together in what looked like an urgent whisper session. "Your mom seems extra happy tonight," Luna mentioned to Marcus as they shared bites of the chocolate ganache wedding cake she had insisted on instead of traditional vanilla. Marcus followed her gaze to where Patricia was now speaking animatedly with his Uncle Robert. "Yeah, she's been like this all week. I think she's just really excited about the wedding. You know how much she loves celebrations." It was true. Patricia Blackwood lived for family gatherings. She was the type of woman who remembered everyone's birthday, sent handwritten thank you notes, and could organize a dinner party for 20 people with 48 hours notice. At 51, she had the energy of someone half her age and the social skills of a professional hostess.
Luna had always admired Patricia's warmth and confidence. Her own mother, Carol, was perpetually anxious and critical, always finding something to worry about or improve. Patricia, by contrast, seemed to embrace life with open arms. She'd welcome Luna into the family without reservation, sharing stories about Marcus's childhood, asking about Luna's work as a graphic designer, and even offering decorating advice when Luna and Marcus bought their first house together. The first toast came from Marcus's best man, his brother David. It was funny and heartfelt, full of embarrassing childhood stories and genuine affection. Luna's maid of honor, Sarah, followed with a toast that had everyone laughing and crying simultaneously as she recounted how Luna had called her at 2 a.m. after her first date with Marcus, convinced she'd met the one. Then Marcus's father, Richard, stood up. He was a quiet man, more comfortable with numbers than words. He'd been an accountant for 30 years, but his toast was simple and sincere. "To Luna and Marcus," he said, raising his champagne glass, "may your love continue to grow stronger with each passing year, and may you always find reasons to laugh together." As the applause died down, Luna expected the formal toasts to be finished. The DJ was already queuing up the first dance song, and she could see the photographer positioning himself to capture the moment. That's when Patricia stood up. She didn't wait for the microphone or for the room to quiet down completely. She simply rose from her seat at the parents' table, tapped her champagne flute with her fork, and began speaking in a voice loud enough to carry across the reception space. "If I could have everyone's attention for just one more moment," Patricia called out, her cheeks flushed with excitement. The room gradually quieted, guests turning toward her with polite smiles. Luna felt Marcus tense beside her, clearly surprised that his mother was making an impromptu toast. "I know we've already heard beautiful words about love and marriage tonight, but I have some news that I simply cannot keep to myself any longer. This seemed like the perfect moment to share it with everyone we love." Luna's stomach began to flutter with unease. Something in Patricia's tone, in the way she was practically vibrating with excitement, felt off. Beside her, Marcus leaned forward, his brow furrowed with confusion. Patricia paused dramatically, scanning the room with shining eyes. "Richard and I are thrilled to announce that we're expecting our third child." The words hit the reception like a bomb going off in slow motion. Luna felt the blood drain from her face as the implications crashed over her. Patricia was announcing her pregnancy at Luna's wedding reception. Her pregnancy at 51, after 26 years of marriage and 2 adult sons. The room erupted in shocked gasps and confused murmurs. Some guests began clapping uncertainly, not sure how to respond to this unexpected announcement at someone else's wedding celebration. But Patricia wasn't finished. She said, "I know the timing might seem surprising," with a radiant smile, her eyes finding Luna's across the room. "But really, what better timing could there be? A new baby to celebrate alongside a new marriage. It's like the universe is blessing our entire family at once." Luna stared at her mother-in-law in complete shock, unable to process what she was hearing.
The woman who had been nothing but supportive, who had helped plan this wedding, who had become like a second mother to her, had just announced her pregnancy at Luna's wedding reception and was calling it better timing. Marcus looked like he'd been struck by lightning. His face had gone pale, and he was gripping his champagne glass so tightly, Luna worried it might shatter. Around them, the wedding party exchanged bewildered glances, clearly as stunned as the bride and groom. The applause was scattered and awkward. Most guests seemed unsure whether congratulations or silence was the appropriate response. Luna could see her own mother at table 6, her mouth hanging open in shock, while her father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. Patricia raised her glass high. So here's to new beginnings, new babies, and new chapters for the entire Blackwood family. As glasses reluctantly rose around the room and uncomfortable applause rippled through the crowd, Luna felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. This wasn't just thoughtless timing or overwhelming excitement. This felt calculated, deliberate. And in that moment, staring at Patricia's triumphant smile, Luna realized that her perfect wedding day had just become the beginning of something much darker than she could have ever imagined. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story.
The honeymoon in Costa Rica should have been magical. Instead, Luna spent most of their week at the beachside resort staring at her phone, scrolling through social media posts from their wedding while trying to process what had happened. The comments on their wedding photos told the story she didn't want to face. Under a beautiful shot of her and Marcus cutting the cake, her college roommate had written, "Wait, did Marcus's mom really announce her pregnancy at your reception? That's bold." Her cousin Jennifer had been more direct. "I can't believe she did that. So inappropriate." But it was the private messages that really got to Luna. Her Aunt Susan, who never minced words, had sent a long text. "Honey, I've been to a lot of weddings in my 62 years, and I have never seen anything like that. That woman knew exactly what she was doing. I'm so sorry your special day got hijacked." Marcus tried to be supportive, but Luna could see the conflict in his eyes. "Maybe Mom just got carried away," he said as they sat on their private balcony overlooking the Pacific Ocean. "You know how excited she gets about family news." And honestly, Luna, a baby at her age is pretty shocking. Maybe she felt like she had to tell everyone while they were all together. "At our wedding reception, Marcus, during our celebration," Luna set down her tropical drink, the pineapple garnish suddenly looking ridiculous. She could have called people the next day. She could have sent announcements. She could have thrown her own party. I know, it was poor timing." Marcus ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Luna recognized as his go-to when he was stressed. "But maybe we're overreacting. It's not like she meant to hurt us." That phrase, "maybe we're overreacting," would haunt Luna for weeks. Because deep down, she knew they weren't overreacting. She knew that Patricia's timing hadn't been an accident. When they returned home to their little house in Sacramento, Luna threw herself into thank you notes, hoping that focusing on gratitude would help her move past the resentment that had taken root in her chest. But every card she wrote felt hollow. How do you thank someone for attending your wedding when the mother of the groom turned it into her own announcement party? The gifts didn't help her mood either. Patricia had given them a crystal vase, beautiful, expensive, and completely impersonal. Luna's own mother, despite her usual anxiety and criticism, had given them a handmade photo album filled with pictures from Luna's childhood with blank pages labeled "Our New Memories" for Luna and Marcus to fill together. The contrast felt stark. 3 weeks after the wedding, Luna was working from home when her phone rang. Patricia's name flashed on the screen, and Luna's stomach immediately tightened. She'd been avoiding her mother-in-law since the honeymoon, letting Marcus handle all the family communication. "Luna, sweetheart, how are you settling back into married life?" Patricia's voice was as warm and cheerful as ever, as if nothing awkward had happened at the reception. "Fine, thank you."
Luna kept her response short, professional. Wonderful. I was hoping we could get together for lunch soon. Just us girls. I have so much to catch you up on with the pregnancy, and I'd love to hear all about Costa Rica. The casual way Patricia said, catch you up on with the pregnancy, made my jaw clench, as if Luna had been eagerly waiting for updates on the announcement that had overshadowed her wedding. I'm pretty busy with work right now, Luna said carefully. Of course. You graphic designers are always so creative and busy. How about this weekend? Saturday afternoon? There's this lovely little cafe in Roseville that I've been dying to try. Something in Patricia's tone made it clear that this wasn't really a request. Luna found herself agreeing, partly out of politeness and partly because she was curious. Maybe Patricia would finally acknowledge how inappropriate the announcement had been. Maybe she'd apologize. Saturday afternoon at the cafe proved that Luna's optimism was misplaced. Patricia arrived 15 minutes late, which was unusual for her. The woman was normally punctual to a fault. She was glowing in that way pregnant women supposedly glow, wearing a flowing coral dress that somehow made her look younger than 51. She hugged Luna tightly, as if they were the best of friends meeting after a long separation. You look wonderful, dear. Marriage suits you. Patricia settled into her chair with a satisfied smile. I ordered us both the salmon salad. I hope that's okay. I've been so careful about my diet since the pregnancy. You know how it is. Luna didn't know how it was. She wasn't pregnant, but she nodded politely and waited for Patricia to get to the point of this lunch. I wanted to talk to you about something important, Patricia said, leaning forward conspiratorially. I know some people at the wedding seemed surprised by my announcement, and I wanted to make sure you understood why the timing felt so right to me. Here it comes, Luna thought. The apology. The acknowledgement. You see, Luna, family is everything to me. Everything. And when I found out I was pregnant, my first thought was how perfect it was that this baby would be born right around the time you and Marcus are starting your own family journey. Cousins who are close in age, growing up together. It's like a dream come true. Luna felt her mouth fall open. Patricia, Marcus and I haven't even talked about having kids yet. We just got married 3 weeks ago.
Patricia's smile didn't waver. Oh, but you will. Trust me. When you've been married as long as Richard and I have, you develop intuition about these things. I can see it in the way you and Marcus look at each other. And honestly, darling, at your age, it's smart not to wait too long. I was 25 when I had David, and I always wished I'd started even earlier. The casual presumption that Luna would immediately start trying for a baby, combined with the subtle dig about her age, she was 24, hardly ancient, left Luna speechless. But Patricia wasn't finished. That's actually part of why I wanted to share our news at the wedding. It felt like the perfect way to let everyone know that the Blackwood family is expanding in wonderful ways. Multiple generations, all growing together. It's beautiful, really. Luna stared at her mother-in-law, trying to process what she was hearing. Patricia had somehow convinced herself that announcing her pregnancy at Luna's wedding reception was not only appropriate, but thoughtful. She'd reframed her attention-grabbing moment as a gift to the family. Patricia, Luna said carefully, I need you to understand that your announcement really hurt my feelings. That was supposed to be Marcus's and my day. For the first time since Luna had known her, Patricia's warm smile faltered slightly, but only for a moment. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry you felt that way. That was never my intention. She reached across the table to pat Luna's hand. But you have to understand, at my age, this pregnancy is such a miracle. I couldn't keep it secret any longer. I was practically bursting with joy, and seeing all our family and friends together celebrating love and new beginnings, it felt like the universe was telling me it was the right moment to share our blessing.
The way Patricia said our blessing while looking directly into Luna's eyes felt calculated, as if she was testing to see whether Luna would dare to challenge the narrative that this pregnancy was a gift to everyone, not just to Patricia and Richard. Luna took a deep breath. I understand that you're excited, but Marcus and I would have appreciated being asked before you made that kind of announcement at our reception. Asked? Patricia's voice sharpened almost imperceptibly. Luna, dear, this is my third child. I think I know how to handle pregnancy announcements. And frankly, I'm a bit surprised that you're still dwelling on this. Shouldn't you be focusing on your new marriage instead of looking for reasons to be upset with family? The comment hit like a slap. Patricia had somehow turned Luna's legitimate hurt feelings into evidence that Luna wasn't prioritizing her marriage correctly. She'd made Luna the problem. I am focusing on my marriage. That's exactly why this bothered me so much. Well, I think we should put this behind us, don't you? After all, we're going to be sharing grandchildren someday soon. No point in holding grudges over a misunderstanding. As Patricia launched into excited chatter about baby nursery themes and baby names, Luna sat in stunned silence. This wasn't an apology or an acknowledgement. This was Patricia doubling down on her decision and making it clear that Luna's feelings were irrelevant. But it was more than that. Sitting across from her mother-in-law, watching her radiant smile and listening to her casual assumptions about Luna's future reproductive choices, Luna felt something cold and uncomfortable settling in her stomach. Patricia wasn't just dismissing Luna's hurt feelings. She was establishing a pattern. She was showing Luna exactly where she stood in the family hierarchy, and it wasn't at the top. The most disturbing part wasn't even the pregnancy announcement itself. It was the masterful way Patricia had reframed the entire situation. In her version of events, she was the loving mother-in-law sharing joyful family news. Luna was the oversensitive newlywed who couldn't appreciate a blessing when she saw one. As Patricia hugged Luna tightly outside the cafe, Patricia whispered, I'm so glad we cleared this up, sweetheart. Family is too important for silly misunderstandings. Driving home, Luna realized that Patricia hadn't apologized once during their 2-hour lunch. She'd expressed regret that Luna felt that way, but she'd never actually acknowledged that her behavior had been inappropriate. And that's when Luna began to understand that she wasn't dealing with thoughtless enthusiasm or poor timing. She was dealing with someone who was very, very good at getting her own way while making everyone else feel grateful for the privilege of being manipulated. The awakening had begun.
2 months after the wedding, Luna made a decision that would change everything. She was going to document every interaction with Patricia. Not because she wanted to be vindictive, but because she was starting to doubt her own memory. The final straw came during Marcus's birthday dinner in November. Luna had spent weeks planning the perfect celebration at Marcus's favorite steakhouse, coordinating with his brother David to make sure the whole family could attend. She'd even arranged for the restaurant to prepare Marcus's favorite dessert, a custom chocolate mousse cake that wasn't on their regular menu. Patricia arrived 30 minutes late, sweeping into the restaurant like she was making a grand entrance. She was 4 months pregnant now, showing just enough to make sure everyone noticed. She wore a fitted black dress that accentuated her bump and had her hair styled in an elaborate updo that must have taken hours. "Sorry I'm late, everyone," she announced, not looking sorry at all. "I had the most important appointment with my obstetrician today. Dr. Hendricks says the baby is developing beautifully." She placed both hands on her stomach with theatrical pride. "And we're having a girl." The gender revelation dominated the next 20 minutes of Marcus's birthday dinner. Patricia had apparently prepared a whole presentation, complete with ultrasound photos that she passed around the table like party favors. She talked about nursery colors, potential names, and how excited she was to finally have a daughter after 2 boys. Luna watched Marcus's face throughout the monologue. He was trying to smile, trying to look happy for his mother, but she could see the disappointment in his eyes. This was supposed to be his celebration, his special dinner, and once again, Patricia had made it about her pregnancy. When the birthday cake arrived, Luna's carefully arranged surprise, Patricia clapped her hands together with delight. Oh, how perfect! We're celebrating so many wonderful things tonight. Marcus's birthday and our baby girl announcement. It's like the universe keeps bringing our family these beautiful moments to share together. That phrase, our family, hit Luna like a physical blow. Patricia had a talent for using inclusive language in ways that actually excluded. When she said our family, she meant the Blackwoods. Luna was still an outsider being granted temporary access. But it was what happened after dinner that truly opened Luna's eyes to how calculated Patricia's behavior truly was. As they were leaving the restaurant, Patricia pulled Luna aside while Marcus was saying goodbye to his father and David. "Luna, sweetheart, I wanted to talk to you about something," Patricia said, her voice dropping to the conspiratorial whisper Luna was beginning to dread. "I've been thinking about what you said at lunch last month, about feeling like my pregnancy announcement overshadowed your wedding." Luna's heart jumped. Was Patricia finally going to acknowledge what she'd done? "I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I realized that maybe I wasn't as sensitive as I could have been to your feelings as a new bride. You're still adjusting to being part of our family, and I should have been more aware of that transition." The apology sounded sincere, and Luna felt a flood of relief. Maybe she'd been wrong about Patricia's intentions. Maybe this really had been a series of misunderstandings. "Thank you for saying that," Luna said carefully. "It really means a lot." Patricia smiled warmly and took Luna's hands in hers. "I want us to have the closest possible relationship, Luna. You're like the daughter I never had, and that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about." She paused, looking around to make sure Marcus wasn't within earshot. "Since we're going to be such close family, I was hoping you might consider doing something special for me. For us, really." "What kind of something?" "Well, I know you're incredibly talented with design and social media. Marcus is always bragging about your work. And I was thinking, with this being such a special pregnancy, maybe you could help me document it. Create a beautiful pregnancy journal. Maybe manage an Instagram account to share our journey. I'd pay you, of course. But more than that, it would be such a meaningful way for us to bond." Luna stared at Patricia in disbelief. Her mother-in-law was asking her to become her pregnancy publicist, to spend her professional skills and personal time documenting and promoting the pregnancy that had overshadowed Luna's wedding. I'm pretty busy with my regular clients right now," Luna managed. Patricia's smile didn't waver, but something shifted in her eyes. "Of course, I understand. You have your little graphic design business to think about. But Luna, this is family, and family always comes first, doesn't it? I just thought it would be a wonderful way for us to work together on something meaningful." The way Patricia said your little graphic design business made Luna's professional accomplishments sound like a hobby she'd eventually outgrow. And the comment about family coming first felt like a test. Agree to document Patricia's pregnancy or prove that Luna wasn't really committed to being part of the Blackwood family. "Let me think about it," Luna said, knowing she had no intention of agreeing, but needing to escape the conversation. "Of course, dear. Take all the time you need." Patricia squeezed Luna's hands. "I just know that once you really think about it, you'll see what a special opportunity this could be for both of us." That night, Luna lay awake next to Marcus, replaying the conversation over and over. Patricia's request wasn't just inappropriate, it was strategic. She wanted Luna to become emotionally and professionally invested in the pregnancy that had already disrupted Luna's wedding. She wanted Luna to spend months of her life documenting and celebrating the woman who had stolen her thunder. It was brilliant, actually. If Luna agreed, she'd be complicit in her own marginalization. If she refused, she'd be the selfish daughter-in-law who wouldn't help family. The next morning, Luna started her documentation project, but not the one Patricia had requested. She opened a new note on her phone and wrote down everything she could remember about the birthday dinner. Patricia's late arrival, her gender announcement dominating Marcus's celebration, her non-apology that somehow became a job offer, the way she'd positioned Luna's refusal as evidence of poor family values. Then, Luna went back and documented everything she could remember from their wedding reception and the cafe lunch. Every comment, every facial expression, every carefully chosen phrase. What emerged was a pattern so clear, it took her breath away. Patricia never directly attacked or criticized. She never raised her voice or made obviously cruel comments. Instead, she used celebration and family togetherness as weapons. She positioned her own needs as family needs, her own desires as family traditions. She made Luna feel selfish for wanting boundaries and ungrateful for questioning her behavior. It was emotional manipulation disguised as maternal warmth. Luna started researching, something she'd never thought she'd need to do about her own mother-in-law. She discovered terms she'd never heard before: covert narcissism, emotional manipulation, gaslighting. She found online forums where other women shared eerily similar stories about mother-in-laws who used family events to maintain control and establish hierarchy. The more Luna read, the more she recognized Patricia's techniques. The way she'd reframed the wedding announcement as better timing. The way she'd made Luna's hurt feelings into evidence that Luna wasn't focusing on her marriage correctly. The way she had offered a fake apology that somehow became Luna's obligation to help with the pregnancy documentation. But knowledge, Luna was learning, could be isolating, because she couldn't share what she was discovering with the one person who needed to hear it most. Marcus loved his mother. He'd grown up with Patricia's manipulation techniques, so they felt normal to him. When Luna tried to explain her concerns, Marcus heard criticism of the woman who had raised him with devotion and sacrifice. "Luna, I think you're reading too much into this. Mom's just excited about the baby. And honestly, asking you to help with some design work sounds like her way of trying to include you. Isn't that what you wanted?" "That's not inclusion, Marcus. That's conscription." "What does that even mean?" Luna realized she was going to have to choose: accept Patricia's version of family dynamics and find a way to live with being perpetually marginalized, or commit to protecting herself and her marriage from a woman who was far more dangerous than she appeared. She chose to fight back, but she was going to need help. Luna's first ally turned out to be Marcus's Aunt Helen, his father's sister, who lived in Portland and only saw the family a few times a year. Helen called Luna directly 3 days after the birthday dinner, ostensibly to thank Luna for organizing such a nice celebration. "That was thoughtful of you to arrange everything. Though, I have to say, I was surprised by how elaborate Patricia's announcement was at Marcus's birthday dinner." The pause in Helen's voice told Luna everything she needed to know. Helen had noticed the same pattern. "It was quite a surprise," Luna said carefully. "Honey, can I speak frankly with you?" "Please." "Patricia has always had a gift for making every occasion about herself. I watched her do it to Richard's mother for years, God rest her soul, and I've been watching her do it to you since the wedding." Luna felt tears of relief prick her eyes. Someone else saw it. Someone else understood. "I don't know what to do about it," Luna admitted. "Document everything," Helen said firmly. "Every conversation, every incident, every time she makes you feel crazy for noticing what she's doing. Write it down with dates and times. Because, honey, this is just the beginning, and you're going to need proof when things get worse." "You think they will get worse?" Helen was quiet for a long moment. "Patricia's about to have a baby at 51, Luna. Do you really think she's going to share the spotlight with anyone, including her son's new wife?" That conversation changed everything for Luna. She wasn't imagining things. She wasn't being overly sensitive. She was dealing with someone who had spent decades perfecting the art of manipulation, and she was going to need to be strategic if she wanted to protect herself and her marriage. The commitment was made. Luna was going to uncover the truth about Patricia Blackwood, no matter where it led. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: Patricia's own social media activity. Luna had been documenting Patricia's behavior for 6 weeks when her friend Jess called her on a Thursday evening in December, her voice tight with anger. "Luna, you need to see Patricia's Facebook page. Right now." "What's wrong?" Luna was making dinner, her phone wedged between her shoulder and ear as she stirred pasta sauce. "Just look. I'm sending you screenshots in case she deletes it." Luna set down her wooden spoon and opened Facebook on her phone. Patricia's latest post was a professional maternity photo, the kind that cost several $100s, with soft lighting and flowing fabric. Patricia looked radiant in a cream-colored gown, her hands cradling her bump, her face glowing with maternal bliss. But it wasn't the photo that made Luna's blood run cold. It was the caption. "5 months along with our miracle baby. Some people said we were crazy to start over at our age, but love doesn't follow timelines. This little girl is already so loved by her daddy and me, and by her big brothers, who are just starting their own families. Can't wait to share all the beautiful family moments ahead. Blessed beyond measure, miracle pregnancy, family first." Luna read the post 3 times before the implications fully hit her. Patricia had used the phrase "starting their own families" in reference to Marcus and David. But David wasn't married or even in a serious relationship. The only Blackwood son starting a family was Marcus. Patricia was publicly claiming that her pregnancy coincided with Marcus and Luna starting their family. She was telling the world that Luna was either pregnant or trying to get pregnant without Luna's knowledge or consent. "Luna, I'm not pregnant," Luna said into the phone. "I know you're not pregnant, Luna. That's why I'm calling. Look at the comments." Luna scrolled down and felt sick. Dozens of friends and family members were congratulating Patricia on her pregnancy and asking variations of the same question. "How exciting that both generations are expanding at the same time. When is Luna due?" Patricia had liked every single comment, but hadn't corrected anyone's assumptions. Luna's phone buzzed with a text from her cousin Emma. "Congrats on the pregnancy. Patricia's post makes it sound like you're expecting too. So exciting." Then another text from Marcus's college friend. "Dude, your mom's Facebook post? Are you and Luna pregnant too? Call me." Luna's hands were shaking as she scrolled through more comments. Patricia had created a social media firestorm that positioned Luna as pregnant without technically lying about it. She'd used careful wording and strategic silence to spread false information while maintaining plausible deniability. Marcus walked through the front door just as Luna was screenshotting the post and all the comments. "Hey, babe, something smells good in here." He stopped when he saw Luna's face. "What's wrong?" Luna handed him her phone without a word. She watched Marcus read the post, saw his face go through the same progression of confusion, understanding, and horror that hers had. "What the hell? He's making it sound like you're pregnant." "Read the comments." Marcus scrolled through the responses, his frown deepening with each congratulatory message. This is really bad, Luna. Your mother has told the entire world that I'm pregnant without asking me, without it being true, and without technically lying about it. Do you see how manipulative that is?" For the first time since Luna had known him, Marcus looked genuinely angry at his mother. "I need to call her. This has to be a misunderstanding." "Marcus, wait." Luna grabbed his arm. "Before you call her, I need to show you something." She pulled up the note on her phone where she'd been documenting Patricia's behavior. 6 weeks of detailed observations, dates, times, exact quotes, and patterns of manipulation. Marcus read in silence for almost 10 minutes. Luna watched his face change as he processed the evidence she'd been carefully collecting. The wedding announcement, the cafe lunch with its non-apology, the birthday dinner spotlight stealing, the pregnancy documentation request, and now this social media manipulation. When he finished reading, Marcus sat down heavily on the couch. "I never saw it," he said quietly. "All of this, I never saw it." "She's very good at what she does," Luna said, sitting beside him.
And you grew up with it, so it feels normal. Luna, I am so sorry for all of it. For not seeing what she was doing, for asking you to give her the benefit of the doubt, for making you feel like you were overreacting. Luna felt a weight lift from her chest. Marcus finally understood. They were finally on the same team. What do we do now? He asked. We call her together, we demand that she correct the post publicly, and we set some serious boundaries. Marcus nodded, his jaw set with determination. Let's do it. Patricia answered on the second ring, her voice bright and cheerful. Marcus, how are you, sweetheart? Did you see my maternity photos? Aren't they gorgeous? Marcus, we need to talk about your Facebook post. What about it? The photographer did such beautiful work. I was thinking of having enlargements made for Christmas gifts.
Luna and Marcus exchanged glances. Patricia was going to play innocent. Mom, your post is making people think Luna is pregnant. We've gotten a dozen calls and texts congratulating us on a pregnancy that doesn't exist. There was a pause. When Patricia spoke again, her voice had a slight edge to it. I'm sure I don't know what you mean, Marcus. I posted about my own pregnancy. You said your sons are starting their own families. David isn't even dating anyone seriously. Well, you never know what the future holds. I was speaking generally about this exciting time in all our lives. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. Mom, you need to post a clarification. People think Luna is pregnant. Marcus, honey, I can't control how people interpret my posts. If they're making assumptions, that's not my responsibility. Luna couldn't stay silent anymore. Patricia, you liked every comment congratulating us on a pregnancy that doesn't exist. You could have corrected them. Luna, dear, I don't want to embarrass people by correcting their excited comments. That would be rude. The gaslighting was so blatant, so perfectly executed, that Luna almost admired the skill involved. Patricia had created a problem, refused to take responsibility for it, and was now positioning herself as too polite to fix it. Mom, Marcus said, his voice harder than Luna had ever heard it before. You need to post a clarification in the next hour. I'm going to post one myself, and it's not going to be as diplomatic as what you could write. Another pause. This one longer. Marcus, honey, I'm very disappointed in your tone. I'm 6 months pregnant, and this kind of stress isn't good for the baby. I was sharing happy news about our growing family, and now you're attacking me for it. She was using the pregnancy as a shield, claiming that holding her accountable for her manipulation was somehow endangering the baby. 1 hour, Mom, Marcus said firmly and hung up. Luna stared at her husband with newfound respect. That was amazing. I can't believe I let her do this to you for so long, Marcus said, running his hands through his hair. How did I not see it? Because she raised you to normalize it, Marcus. But Marcus, we stopped her this time. We stood up to her together. 57 minutes later, Patricia posted a brief clarification. Just to clarify my earlier post, Marcus and Luna are not expecting at this time. Just me being hopeful about future grandbabies. It was a masterpiece of damage control. She'd corrected the misinformation while making it sound like Luna and Marcus were being oversensitive about her innocent excitement for future grandchildren. She'd positioned her manipulation as maternal enthusiasm. But for the first time since their wedding, Luna felt like she had won a battle. She's going to be furious, Marcus said, reading his mother's reluctant clarification post. Good. Let her be furious. At least now she knows we're paying attention. The real victory wasn't just the social media correction. It was that Marcus had finally seen through his mother's manipulation. He'd witnessed her gaslighting in real time, heard her refuse to take responsibility for the chaos she had created, watched her use her pregnancy as emotional blackmail. Luna's documentation had worked. Her patience had paid off. Marcus was finally awake to what his mother really was. But Luna was learning that victories against someone like Patricia came with consequences. 3 days later, she got a call from Marcus's father, Richard.
Luna, I think we need to talk. Patricia is very upset about what happened with that Facebook post. She feels like you and Marcus ganged up on her, and she's worried about the stress affecting the baby. Luna felt the familiar cold dread in her stomach. Patricia had recruited reinforcements. Richard, she posted something that made people think I was pregnant. We just asked her to clarify. I understand, but you have to realize how sensitive she is right now. This pregnancy has been hard on her, and she feels like the family isn't being supportive. The narrative was already being rewritten. In Patricia's version, she was the victim of an unreasonable daughter-in-law and ungrateful son. Her manipulation had become their cruelty. Richard, I have to ask you something directly. Did Patricia tell you what her post actually said? She said she posted about the pregnancy and you got upset about some comments people made. Luna closed her eyes. Patricia had given Richard a completely sanitized version of events. He had no idea that his wife had deliberately created the impression that Luna was pregnant. Would you be willing to read the actual post and comments? I can send you screenshots. There was a long pause. Luna, I don't think that's necessary. I trust my wife. And there it was, the family dynamic that had protected Patricia for decades. Richard's blind trust, Marcus's childhood conditioning, the assumption that Patricia's intentions were always pure, even when her actions caused harm. But something fundamentally changed. Marcus was no longer part of that protective system. He'd crossed over to Luna's side, and Patricia knew it. The first breakthrough had been achieved, but Luna was beginning to understand that Patricia wasn't going to go down without a fight. And a cornered manipulator,
The Christmas invitation arrived on expensive cardstock with gold-embossed lettering, as if Patricia was hosting a state dinner instead of a family gathering. But it was the handwritten note at the bottom that made Luna's stomach drop. Looking forward to our first Christmas as a complete family. The baby and I can't wait to start new traditions with everyone. XOXO, Patricia. Our first Christmas as a complete family. As if every Christmas before Luna joined the family had been somehow incomplete. As if the baby Patricia was carrying was the final piece needed to make the Blackwoods whole. Marcus read the invocation over Luna's shoulder and sighed. She's not going to make this easy, is she? It had been 2 weeks since the Facebook incident, and Patricia had been waging a subtle war of attrition ever since. She'd stopped calling Luna directly, instead reaching out to Marcus with requests that always seemed reasonable on the surface, but were designed to test their new united front. Could Marcus help move some baby furniture? Of course, but it meant spending his Saturday off listening to Patricia talk about how stressed she was about family tensions affecting her pregnancy. Could he pick up some specialty groceries for her? Absolutely, but she'd use the opportunity to share her disappointment about Luna's hostile attitude toward the pregnancy. Patricia never directly criticized Luna to Marcus, but she painted herself as a wounded woman trying to include a daughter-in-law who seemed determined to create conflict. It was masterful manipulation. She positioned every boundary Luna and Marcus set as evidence of Luna's problematic character. But the Christmas invitation represented an escalation. Patricia was making it clear that she considered herself the matriarch of the family now, the one who determined traditions and defined what made the family complete. We could spend Christmas with my parents this year, Luna suggested, hopefully. Her parents lived in Phoenix now, and while they had their own issues, they didn't actively try to undermine her marriage. Marcus, you know I can't do that. Not with Mom being pregnant. This might be her last Christmas before the baby comes. Luna understood Marcus's position, but she also knew that going to Patricia's Christmas gathering would be walking into a carefully orchestrated performance designed to demonstrate exactly where Luna stood in the family hierarchy. She was right. The Blackwood family Christmas was held at Patricia and Richard's house, a beautifully decorated colonial in an upscale Sacramento suburb.
Patricia had outdone herself with the decorations. A 12-foot tree in the living room, garland draping every doorway, and what appeared to be a professional lighting display on the exterior of the house. Luna and Marcus arrived to find Patricia holding court in the living room, wearing a stunning red maternity dress that looked like it had come straight from a holiday photo shoot. She was 7 months pregnant now, glowing with that maternal radiance that made it impossible for anyone to criticize her without seeming cruel. "Luna, Marcus, Merry Christmas!" Patricia rose gracefully from her chair and embraced them both, as if nothing awkward had ever happened between them. "Luna, you look lovely, dear. That green dress is so flattering on you." It was a perfectly calibrated compliment, warm enough to seem genuine, but with the subtle implication that Luna didn't always look flattering. Patricia had a gift for backhanded kindness. The living room was full of extended family. Richard's parents, Patricia's sister and her family, Marcus's brother David with his new girlfriend, and several family friends Luna had met at the wedding. Everyone seemed to be in high spirits, laughing and chatting around the elaborate spread of appetizers Patricia had prepared. "Come sit by me," Patricia said, patting the cushion next to her on the sofa. "I want to hear all about your holidays so far." Luna found herself trapped in conversation with Patricia, while Marcus was pulled away by his grandfather to discuss work. Patricia was in her element, surrounded by family and friends who had known her for years and saw her as the warm and generous woman she appeared to be. "I'm so glad we could all be together for Christmas," Patricia said, one hand resting on her bump. "Family is everything to me, especially now. This little girl is going to be so lucky to grow up surrounded by so much love." Mrs. Chen, a family friend, leaned forward with interest. "Patricia, you must be so excited about having a daughter after 2 boys. And how wonderful that she'll have cousins close in age to play with." Luna felt her face flush. "Actually, Marcus and I don't have any children yet." "Oh, but you will," Mrs. Chen said, with the confidence of someone who had raised 4 children of her own. "These things often happen in waves in families. One baby leads to another." Patricia's smile was radiant. "I certainly hope so. There's nothing I want more than grandbabies to spoil." She turned to Luna with sparkling eyes. "Luna, dear, you know how much I'm looking forward to that day. This little one needs cousins to grow up with." The pressure was subtle, but unmistakable. Patricia was using the Christmas gathering to reinforce the expectation that Luna would get pregnant soon, surrounding her with family members who would echo the sentiment without realizing they were being manipulated. "We're focusing on our marriage right now," Luna said carefully. "We just got married a couple of months ago." Of course, I said. "But you know, Luna, at your age, it's smart not to wait too long. I was 25 when I had David, and even then I sometimes worried I'd waited too long to start." Luna was 24. Patricia was positioning her as practically geriatric in reproductive terms. "Different families have different timelines," Luna replied, trying to keep her voice neutral. "Oh, absolutely," Patricia agreed quickly. "I'm not trying to pressure you, sweetheart. I'm just saying that when you're ready, we'll all be so excited to support you." It was perfectly crafted manipulation. Patricia had planted the seeds of urgency about Luna's biological clock while claiming she wasn't pressuring anyone. She'd positioned herself as supportive while making it clear that Luna's worth to the family was tied to her reproductive potential. The afternoon continued in the same vein. Every conversation somehow circled back to Patricia's pregnancy or the future of the family. The baby had already been given a nursery that Patricia described in elaborate detail to anyone who would listen. She'd registered for baby gifts at 3 different stores and had apparently compiled a list of potential godparents that she was happy to share. But it was during gift exchange that Patricia played her masterstroke. The family had always done a grab bag gift exchange for the adults, keeping things simple and affordable. This year, Patricia had apparently decided to break tradition. "Before we do our usual gift exchange," she announced, rising from her chair with some difficulty, "I have something special I want to share with everyone."
She disappeared into the hallway and returned carrying a large wrapped box. "This is for Luna, from all of us." Luna felt every eye in the room on her as Patricia placed the heavy box in her lap. She unwrapped it carefully, aware that she was being watched and judged by people who had no idea what had been happening between her and Patricia over the past few months. Inside the box was an elaborate baby gift basket, receiving blankets, tiny clothes, bottles, pacifiers, and a note that read, "For when you're ready to make us grandparents, we love you and can't wait, the Blackwood family." The room erupted in appreciative murmurs and knowing smiles. Several relatives started talking about how thoughtful Patricia was, how exciting it would be when Luna and Marcus started their family, how nice it was that Luna already had everything she'd need. Luna stared at the gift basket in shock. Patricia had just given her baby supplies in front of the entire extended family, creating social pressure for Luna to get pregnant, while positioning herself as the thoughtful mother-in-law who was simply planning ahead. Marcus, who had returned to Luna's side just in time to see the gift revealed, looked as stunned as Luna felt. "That's very thoughtful, Mom," he managed. "I saw these things on sale after Thanksgiving and couldn't resist," Patricia said with a bright smile. "I know you two will need them eventually, and this way Luna doesn't have to worry about shopping for basics when the time comes." Luna looked around the room at the expectant faces of Marcus's extended family. They were all waiting for her to express gratitude for Patricia's thoughtfulness. Any response other than gracious appreciation would make Luna look ungrateful and unreasonable. "Thank you," Luna said quietly, because she had no choice. Patricia beamed. "You're so welcome, sweetheart. I just want you to know how much we're all looking forward to that next chapter of your life." As the evening continued, Luna felt increasingly trapped. The baby gift basket sat at her feet like a monument to Patricia's expectations, and every family member who walked by made some comment about how exciting it would be when Luna and Marcus started using those baby supplies. Patricia had turned Luna's reproductive choices into a public family discussion. She'd created expectations and timelines that Luna had never agreed to. She'd used Christmas, a holiday meant to bring families together, as a weapon to enforce conformity to her vision of what the family should look like. But the worst was yet to come. As Luna and Marcus were getting ready to leave, Patricia pulled Luna aside for what she called a private moment. "Luna, I want you to know how much today meant to me. Seeing you here, being part of our family traditions, receiving that gift with such grace, it reminded me why I knew from the beginning that you were perfect for Marcus." Luna waited for the other shoe to drop. "I also want you to know that I understand if the baby gift felt like pressure. That wasn't my intention at all." Patricia's eyes were soft with apparent sincerity. "I gave you those things because I believe in you and Marcus. I believe you're going to be wonderful parents when the time is right." The fake apology was wrapped in a compliment, designed to make Luna feel petty for being upset about the public pressure. "But, Luna," Patricia continued, her voice dropping to a whisper, "I need you to understand something. This family means everything to me. These traditions, these gatherings, this sense of continuity, it's what I've spent my entire adult life building, and I need to know that you value what we've created here." The threat was subtle, but unmistakable. Patricia was making it clear that Luna's place in the family was conditional on her willingness to conform to Patricia's expectations. She was demanding loyalty not just to Marcus, but to Patricia's vision of what their family should be. "I value my marriage to Marcus," Luna said carefully. "Of course you do, but marriage is about joining families, not just joining individuals. I hope you'll remember that." As Marcus and Luna drove home in silence, Luna realized that the Christmas gathering had been a declaration of war. Patricia had used the holiday to demonstrate her power, her ability to control narratives, manipulate family dynamics, and create social pressure that made resistance seem unreasonable. The baby gift basket sat in their back seat like evidence of Luna's capitulation.
Patricia had forced Luna to accept baby supplies in front of the entire family, creating the impression that Luna was eagerly planning pregnancy while making it impossible for Luna to refuse without looking ungrateful. "We can't do this anymore," Luna said finally. "Do what?" "Pretend that your mother is just overly enthusiastic. Pretend that her behavior is normal family dynamics. Marcus, she gave me baby supplies in front of your entire family to pressure us to get pregnant. That's not maternal excitement, that's manipulation." Marcus was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with exhaustion. "You're right. But Luna, I don't know how to fight someone who uses family gatherings as weapons. Every time we set a boundary, she finds a way to make us look like the bad guys." Luna understood his frustration, but she also knew they were running out of time. Patricia's baby was due in 2 months, and once that child was born, Patricia would have even more ammunition to use against anyone who challenged her authority. "Marcus, I think we need to consider the possibility that your mother isn't just manipulative. I think she might be lying about something much bigger than we realize." "What do you mean?" "I've been thinking about this for weeks, but I've been afraid to voice my suspicion. Your mother is 51 years old. She's been married to your father for 26 years. You and David are both adults. Why would she suddenly decide to have another baby now?" "People do have late-in-life babies, Luna." "Some people do. But your mother? Everything she does is calculated, Marcus. Everything serves a purpose. So what purpose does this pregnancy serve?" Marcus stared at the road ahead, processing Luna's question. "Are you saying you think she's lying about being pregnant?" "I'm saying we should find out for sure, because if she's willing to fake a pregnancy to maintain control over her family, there's no limit to what she might do to keep that control." The deepest challenge was no longer just dealing with Patricia's manipulation. It was accepting the possibility that everything they thought they knew about her, including the pregnancy that had dominated their lives for 7 months, might be an elaborate lie.
The private investigator's name was Rebecca Torres, and she specialized in what she diplomatically called family verification cases. Luna had found her through an online forum where other women shared stories about deceptive relatives, and Rebecca's reviews were filled with grateful clients who had uncovered elaborate lies that had been destroying their families for years. "I need you to understand something before we begin," Rebecca said during their first meeting at a coffee shop in downtown Sacramento. She was a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and the kind of calm demeanor that suggested she'd seen every possible variation of human deception. "Once you know the truth, you can't unknow it. If your mother-in-law is lying about this pregnancy, it's going to change everything about your family dynamics." Luna looked across the table at this woman who might hold the key to her sanity. "I need to know. The not knowing is destroying my marriage." Rebecca nodded. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." For 2 hours, Luna laid out the entire timeline. The wedding announcement, the cafe lunch, the birthday dinner, the Facebook manipulation, the Christmas baby gifts. She showed Rebecca her documented evidence, the screenshots, the carefully recorded conversations. "You've done excellent work documenting this," Rebecca said, reviewing Luna's notes. "But I have to ask, why focus on the pregnancy? Everything you've shown me proves she's manipulative, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's faking being pregnant." Luna had been asking herself the same question. "It's the timing. Everything Patricia does serves a purpose, and this pregnancy has given her unlimited power. She can't be criticized because it might stress the baby. She can't be confronted because pregnant women need support. She can make unreasonable demands because family needs to rally around expectant mothers. It's the perfect shield." "And she announced it at your wedding." "Exactly. She upstaged the most important day of my life and then spent months making that pregnancy the center of everyone's attention. If you wanted to establish yourself as the most important person in a family, faking a pregnancy would be brilliant." Rebecca leaned back in her chair, studying Luna's face. "It would also be incredibly risky. There are doctor's appointments, ultrasounds, medical records. Faking a pregnancy for 8 months would require sophisticated planning." "Patricia is sophisticated. She's been manipulating people for decades." "All right,
Rebecca said finally. Here's what we can do. I have contacts at most of the major medical practices in Sacramento. I can verify whether Patricia is actually a patient at the practice she claims to be using. I can also check public records for any unusual activity, unusual purchases, financial records that might indicate she's buying pregnancy props. How long will it take? Give me 2 weeks. And Luna, Rebecca's expression was serious. If I find evidence that she's faking this pregnancy, you need to be prepared for war. People who stage elaborate deceptions like this don't go quietly when they're exposed. Those 2 weeks were the longest of Luna's life. She went through the motions of normal married life while feeling like she was sitting on a bomb that could explode at any moment. Marcus could sense her anxiety, but attributed it to ongoing stress about his mother's behavior. Patricia, meanwhile, seemed to be in full nesting mode. She called Marcus almost daily with requests for help preparing the nursery, moving furniture, or assembling baby equipment. She'd started a countdown on her social media. 8 weeks until we meet our little princess. The posts were getting hundreds of likes and dozens of comments from friends and family expressing excitement about the upcoming arrival. Luna found herself studying Patricia's pregnancy photos with new eyes. The professional maternity shots were beautifully lit and carefully posed, but something about them felt staged, beyond normal photo shoot staging. Patricia's hand placement, her expression, the way she positioned her body, it all felt performative rather than natural. But Luna tried to prepare herself for the possibility that Rebecca would find nothing. Maybe Patricia really was pregnant. Maybe Luna's suspicions were the result of months of stress and manipulation making her paranoid. Maybe she was becoming the unstable daughter-in-law that Patricia had been subtly painting her as. Rebecca called on a Wednesday morning while Luna was working on a logo design for a local restaurant. "We need to meet. Today. Can you come to my office at 2 o'clock? Luna's heart started racing. "Did you find something?" "Just come to my office, Luna. We need to talk in person." The afternoon crawled by. Luna tried to focus on work, but found herself staring at her computer screen without seeing anything. She called Marcus and told him she had an errand to run, not wanting to explain where she was going until she knew what Rebecca had discovered. Rebecca's office was in a professional building near the courthouse, decorated with diplomas and awards that suggested she was very good at her job. When Luna arrived, Rebecca was sitting behind her desk with a manila folder that looked thick enough to contain Luna's entire future. "Sit down," Rebecca said gently. "What I'm about to tell you is going to be shocking." Luna's hands were shaking as she took the chair across from Rebecca's desk. "Patricia Blackwood is not pregnant," Rebecca said without preamble. "She has never been a patient at Sacramento Women's Health Center where she claims to be receiving prenatal care. She has no medical records indicating pregnancy at any practice in the Sacramento area." The words hit Luna like a physical blow. Even though she'd suspected this, hearing it confirmed felt surreal.
"But the ultrasound photos," Luna managed. "She showed them to everyone at Marcus's birthday dinner." Rebecca opened the folder and pulled out several printed pages. "Stock photos. I found the exact images she's been using on a medical website that sells ultrasound images for educational purposes. Look." Rebecca spread out the photos side by side. Patricia's ultrasound images next to identical pictures from the medical website, complete with time snaps showing they'd been downloaded months ago. The maternity photos? Fake pregnancy belly. There are companies that make them for actresses, photographers, and unfortunately, for people who want to fake pregnancies. Based on the purchases I found in her credit card records, she's been buying increasingly larger prosthetic bellies for the past 7 months. Luna stared at the evidence spread across Rebecca's desk. Credit card receipts for silicone pregnancy prosthetics, download records for ultrasound images, a complete absence of any legitimate medical care related to pregnancy. She's been planning this for months. Longer than that, Rebecca said. I found something else. Patricia has been researching pregnancy announcements and baby-related social media strategies since 6 months before your wedding. She'd been planning to announce a fake pregnancy for almost a year. Before Marcus and I even got engaged? Exactly. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision or even a response to your marriage. This was a long-term strategy to maintain her position as the center of the family's attention. Luna felt like she was going to be sick. The timing of the wedding announcement was always the plan. She knew your wedding date months in advance. She timed her fake pregnancy announcement to coincide with your reception, not because she was excited and couldn't wait to share, but because she'd been planning to upstage you from the beginning. Rebecca pulled out another document. There's more. I found records of purchases from a company that specializes in what they call pregnancy simulation supplies. Not just prosthetic bellies, but fake medical documents, counterfeit ultrasound prints, even hormonal supplements that can create some pregnancy symptoms. She's been taking hormones to fake pregnancy symptoms. Low-dose pregnancy hormones can cause nausea, breast tenderness, mood changes, all the symptoms people associate with pregnancy. She's been medically simulating pregnancy while using prosthetics to fake the visual aspects. Luna's mind was reeling. The scope of Patricia's deception was beyond anything she had imagined. This wasn't just a woman who'd lied about being pregnant. This was someone who'd orchestrated an elaborate months-long medical fraud designed to manipulate her entire family. What happens now? That's up to you. You have enough evidence to expose her completely. But Luna, you need to understand what you're dealing with. Someone who would fake a pregnancy for 8 months, who would plan to upstage your wedding a year in advance, who would go to these lengths to maintain control, that person isn't going to accept exposure quietly. What do you mean? Rebecca's expression was grave. In my experience, when people who stage elaborate deceptions like this are confronted with evidence, they don't admit guilt and apologize. They escalate. They make the person who exposed them into the villain. Patricia has spent months positioning herself as a vulnerable pregnant woman and you as the difficult daughter-in-law. If you expose her, she's going to flip that script and make you the unstable woman who's attacking a pregnant mother. But we have proof. We have proof that she's not pregnant, but proof doesn't always matter to people who've been successfully manipulated for months. Your extended family, Marcus's father, their friends, they've all been investing emotionally in this pregnancy. Some of them are going to refuse to believe the evidence rather than accept that they've been fooled. I understand what Rebecca is saying, but I also knew she couldn't continue living with this knowledge alone. I have to tell Marcus. I agree. He needs to know. But Luna, you need to be strategic about how you handle this. Patricia has spent months making you look like the problem. When you expose her, she's going to try to make that narrative stick. Rebecca handed Luna a copy of all the evidence. Document everything when you tell Marcus. Record his reaction, his questions, his process of understanding what his mother has done. You're going to need proof that he believed you and accepted the evidence, because Patricia is going to claim that you manipulated him into turning against his pregnant mother. As Luna drove home with a folder full of evidence that would destroy Patricia's elaborate deception, she felt a strange combination of vindication and terror. She'd been right about Patricia's manipulation, right about the calculated nature of her behavior, right about the pregnancy being too convenient to be real. But being right meant that Luna was now in possession of information that would detonate her marriage, her family relationships, and the carefully constructed reality that Patricia had spent almost a year building. The transformation was complete. Luna was no longer the naive young woman who'd been grateful for Patricia's maternal warmth. She was someone who understood the full scope of what manipulation could look like when practiced by an expert. But knowledge, Luna was about to learn, was only the beginning of the battle.
Luna waited until Marcus got home from work to tell him. She had Rebecca's evidence spread across their dining room table like pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, revealed the most devastating picture imaginable. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. After hours of processing the truth, she felt eerily calm. Marcus walked through the front door, calling her name, his voice cheerful and unsuspecting. "Luna, I'm home. Mom called and wants us to come see the finished nursery this weekend. She says the rocking chair finally arrived and—" He stopped mid-sentence when he saw her sitting at the dining room table, surrounded by documents. "What's all this?" he asked, setting down his work bag and approaching cautiously. "Sit down, Marcus. We need to talk." Something in her tone made him comply immediately. Luna watched his face, as she began to explain, speaking slowly and clearly so he could process each devastating revelation. Your mother is not pregnant, Marcus. She has never been pregnant. This entire thing, the announcement at our wedding, the ultrasounds, the maternity photos, all of it, has been an elaborate fake. Marcus stared at her in silence for a long moment. Then he laughed, a short, confused sound. Luna, that's impossible. I've seen the ultrasound pictures. I've watched her belly grow. She's been to dozens of doctor appointments. These are the ultrasound photos she showed everyone at your birthday dinner, and these are the exact same images from a medical website that sells stock ultrasound pictures. Look at the timestamps. She downloaded them 3 days before your birthday. Marcus picked up the papers with trembling hands, comparing the images side by side. Luna watched understanding begin to dawn in his eyes. The doctor appointments? He asked weakly. She's never been a patient at Sacramento Women's Health Center. I had a private investigator verify her medical records. She's been leaving the house and going somewhere else, shopping, getting coffee, sitting in her car for an hour, then coming home with fake appointment updates. Luna continued laying out evidence piece by piece. The credit card receipts for prosthetic pregnancy bellies, the purchases of hormonal supplements to create fake symptoms, the research into pregnancy announcement strategies that dated back to before Marcus had even proposed. She's been planning this for over a year, Marcus. The wedding announcement wasn't spontaneous excitement. It was always the plan. Marcus sat in stunned silence as Luna explained everything Rebecca had discovered. She watched him go through the same process she had: denial, confusion, and finally horrified acceptance. Why? He asked, finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Why would she do this? Control, Luna said simply. Think about it, Marcus. Before she announced this pregnancy, I was becoming part of the family, your wife, someone with equal standing. The pregnancy made her the center of attention again. It gave her a reason why she couldn't be criticized, why everyone had to cater to her needs, why her announcements and demands had to take priority. Marcus buried his face in his hands. I helped her move baby furniture. I spent my weekends assembling a crib for a baby that doesn't exist. She manipulated all of us. But Marcus, it's worse than that. Tomorrow is supposed to be her baby shower. 50 people are coming to celebrate a pregnancy that's completely fake. Your extended family has bought gifts, taken off time from work, traveled from other states. The baby shower. Luna had been dreading it for weeks, but now she realized it represented the crescendo of Patricia's deception. Tomorrow, Patricia would accept congratulations, gifts, and attention for a pregnancy that had never existed, while Luna would sit in the audience, knowing the truth, but powerless to speak it without looking like she was attacking a pregnant woman. We have to stop the baby shower, Marcus said, his voice gaining strength. We have to tell everyone. Do we? Marcus, think about what that means. Your mother has convinced 50 people that she's 8 months pregnant. Your grandparents have been knitting baby blankets. Your Aunt Helen drove here from Portland. Your father has been preparing to be a father again at 63. Marcus looked up at her with horror in his eyes. You're saying we should let her continue the lie? I'm saying we need to be strategic about how we handle this. Rebecca warned me that when people who stage elaborate deceptions are exposed, they don't apologize and admit guilt. They escalate. They make the people who expose them into the villains. But we have proof. We have proof that will destroy your family, Marcus. Your father is going to have to face that his wife of 26 years has been lying to him for 8 months. Your grandparents are going to have to accept that they've been excited about a great-grandchild who never existed. David is going to have to process that his mother is capable of this level of deception. Marcus stood up and began pacing around the dining room. So, what do we do? Just pretend we don't know? We confront her privately first. We give her a chance to end this herself before we expose her publicly. Maybe she'll cancel the baby shower, fake a miscarriage,
and this nightmare can end without destroying everyone. Marcus stopped pacing and looked at Luna with something approaching awe. When did you become so strategic about this? When I realized that your mother isn't just manipulative, Marcus, she's dangerous. Someone who would fake a pregnancy for 8 months is capable of anything. We have to assume she has a plan for how this was supposed to end. They spent the rest of the evening planning their approach. They would confront Patricia tomorrow morning, 2 hours before the baby shower was scheduled to begin. They would present the evidence calmly and give her the opportunity to end the deception herself. If she refused, they would be forced to expose her publicly. Luna barely slept that night. She kept thinking about Patricia's reaction when she realized she'd been caught. Would she confess? Would she claim the evidence was fake? Would she try to turn the family against Luna and Marcus? The next morning, they drove to Patricia's house in grim silence. The baby shower decorations were already in place. Pink and white balloons, a banner reading, "Welcome Baby Girl Blackwood," table set up in the backyard for the 50 guests who would arrive in 2 hours, expecting to celebrate new life. Patricia answered the door wearing a flowing pink maternity dress and a radiant smile. Her fake pregnancy bump looked enormous at 8 months, and she moved with the careful waddle of a woman carrying a full-term baby.
Marcus, Luna, you're early. I'm so excited for today. Everything looks perfect, doesn't it? She gestured proudly at the decorations visible through the window. Mom, we need to talk, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the gravity of what they were about to do. Of course, sweetheart. Come in, come in. I was just putting the finishing touches on the gift table. Luna, wait until you see how many people bought gifts from the registry. This baby is going to be so spoiled. They followed Patricia into the living room, where she settled herself carefully into her chair, one hand resting protectively on her fake bump. What did you want to talk about? She asked cheerfully. Marcus looked at Luna, then back at his mother. Mom, we know you're not pregnant. Patricia's smile didn't waver, but something shifted in her eyes. I'm sorry, what did you say? Luna pulled out the folder of evidence. We know about the fake ultrasounds, Patricia. We know about the prosthetic pregnancy bellies. We know you've never been a patient at the medical practice you claim to use. We know this entire pregnancy has been fake from the beginning. For a moment, Patricia sat perfectly still. Then she laughed, a bright, confused sound that was perfectly calibrated to suggest that Luna and Marcus were saying something absurd. I think you both need to sit down and take a deep breath, Patricia said gently. This kind of stress isn't good for anyone, especially when you're making such bizarre accusations. Mom, we have proof. Credit card receipts, medical records, everything. We know you downloaded fake ultrasound images from a website. Patricia's expression shifted to one of concern. Marcus, honey, I'm worried about you. This sounds like the kind of paranoid thinking that suggests you might need professional help. Have you been under a lot of stress at work? She was doing it again. Deflecting, gaslighting, making them question their own reality even when confronted with irrefutable evidence. Luna spread the documents on the coffee table. Here are the receipts for prosthetic pregnancy bellies. Here are the ultrasound images you've been showing people next to the identical stock photos from the medical website. Here's the confirmation that you've never been a patient at Sacramento Women's Health Center. Patricia glanced at the evidence with the casual disinterest of someone looking at meaningless papers. Luna, sweetheart, I don't know where you got these documents, but I'm very concerned about your mental state. Making accusations like this against a pregnant woman suggests you might be having some kind of breakdown. Patricia, Luna said, her voice deadly calm. In 2 hours, 50 people are going to arrive here expecting to celebrate your pregnancy. Are you really going to let them give you gifts and congratulations for a baby that doesn't exist? Patricia stood up with the careful movements of a heavily pregnant woman. I think you both need to leave. This kind of hostile behavior isn't welcome in my home, especially not on such an important day. Marcus stared at his mother in disbelief. Mom, we're trying to help you. We're giving you a chance to end this before it gets worse. And what, Marcus? End my pregnancy? Are you suggesting I should harm my unborn child to satisfy Luna's paranoid delusions? The performance was flawless. Even knowing the truth, Luna found herself almost doubting the evidence she'd seen. Patricia had perfected the art of making reality seem unreasonable.
We're going to tell everyone, Marcus said quietly. We're going to show them the evidence. Patricia's mask finally slipped. For just a moment, Luna saw something cold and calculating in her eyes. If you do that, Patricia said, her voice no longer warm and maternal, you'll destroy this family. Richard will never forgive you for humiliating him like this. Your grandparents will think you've lost your minds. David will choose his pregnant mother over his brother who's been brainwashed by his unstable wife. So you admit it, Luna said. You admit the pregnancy is fake. Patricia's smile returned, bright and dangerous. I admit nothing, but I will tell you what I will do if you try to ruin my baby shower. I'll tell everyone that Luna has been having a psychological breakdown since our wedding, that she's been making increasingly bizarre accusations about me because she can't handle not being the center of attention anymore, that she's manipulated you to believe her delusions because she's jealous of the love and support I've received during my pregnancy. Luna felt a chill run down her spine. Patricia had been planning for this contingency. She had spent months positioning Luna as the problematic daughter-in-law, creating a narrative that would make Luna's accusations seem like evidence of mental instability rather than legitimate concerns. People will believe me, Luna, Patricia continued, because I'm the woman they've known and loved for years. I'm the pregnant mother being attacked by her paranoid daughter-in-law, and you're the newcomer making outrageous claims based on documents that could easily have been forged. Marcus stood up, his face pale but determined. Mom, this ends now. Either you cancel the baby shower and tell people the truth, or we will. Patricia looked at her son with something like disappointment. Marcus, I raised you to be smarter than this, but if you want to destroy your family for this woman, that's your choice. She walked to the front door and opened it. You have 30 minutes to decide. Either you leave now and never mention this again, or you stay and watch me destroy Luna's reputation so thoroughly that she'll never be welcome in this family again. As Luna and Marcus stood in Patricia's driveway, watching their mother-in-law prepare for a baby shower, celebrating a pregnancy that had never existed, Luna realized that the new reality was darker than anything she had imagined. They weren't just dealing with someone who had lied about being pregnant. They were dealing with someone who had anticipated being caught and had prepared a counterattack designed to destroy anyone who tried to expose her. The war Patricia had promised was about to begin.
Luna and Marcus sat in their car outside Patricia's house for 27 minutes, watching guests arrive for a baby shower, celebrating a pregnancy that didn't exist. Marcus's grandparents shuffled up the walkway carrying wrapped gifts. His Aunt Helen from Portland had brought a handmade baby quilt. Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, all coming to celebrate Patricia's miracle pregnancy. We can still leave, Marcus said quietly, watching his grandfather help his grandmother navigate the front steps. We can let her have her party and deal with this privately later. Luna watched Patricia through the front window, radiant in her pink maternity dress, greeting guests with the glowing smile of an expectant mother. And then what, Marcus? She fakes a miscarriage next week, a stillbirth? Do we let her traumatize your entire family with fake grief after 8 months of fake joy? Marcus closed his eyes. If we go in there with that evidence, we're going to destroy everyone we love. If we don't go in there, we become accomplices to the biggest lie your family has ever been told. Luna had spent the past 27 minutes making peace with what they were about to do. There was no gentle way to expose Patricia's deception, no way to reveal the truth without devastating the people who had invested 8 months of emotional energy in anticipating this baby. But there was also no way to live with themselves if they allowed the lie to continue. Are you ready? Luna asked. Marcus nodded grimly. Let's go end this. They walked up the driveway carrying the folder of evidence like a funeral director carrying death certificates. The baby shower was in full swing in the backyard. Pink decorations everywhere, a gift table overflowing with presents, and Patricia holding court in a throne-like chair decorated with ribbons and balloons. Patricia saw them approaching, and her smile faltered for just a moment before returning to full radiance. Marcus, Luna, I was wondering where you were.
Come meet Mrs. Patterson from my prenatal yoga class." Patricia was still playing her role perfectly, introducing them to guests as if nothing had happened, maintaining the fiction that Luna and Marcus were excited about their soon-to-arrive niece. Luna looked around at the assembled crowd. 50 people who had taken time from their Saturday to celebrate new life. Richard beaming with pride as he told someone about becoming a father again at 63. Marcus's grandparents in their 80s glowing with excitement about a great-grandchild. David's girlfriend asking Patricia questions about delivery plans and hospital logistics. "Patricia," Luna said, her voice loud enough to cut through the party chatter, "we need to make an announcement." The backyard gradually quieted as guests turned toward Luna's voice. Patricia's smile became strained. "Luna, dear, I don't think this is the time." "Actually, it's exactly the time," Marcus said, moving to stand beside his wife. "Everyone here deserves to know the truth." Richard approached from across the yard, his face concerned. "What's going on?" Luna opened the folder and pulled out the most damning pieces of evidence. Patricia is not pregnant. She has never been pregnant. This entire baby shower is celebrating a pregnancy that doesn't exist. The backyard fell completely silent. Luna could hear the neighbor's lawnmower in the distance, birds chirping in the trees, the normal sounds of a Saturday afternoon that suddenly seemed surreal against the backdrop of what she was revealing. "That's ridiculous," Richard said automatically. "I've been to doctor appointments with her. I've seen the ultrasound pictures." Luna handed him the side-by-side comparison of Patricia's ultrasounds and the exact same stock photos from the medical supply website. She downloaded them and has been passing them off as her own. Richard stared at the papers in his hands as if they were written in a foreign language. Patricia stood up slowly, her hand protectively covering her fake bump. "I cannot believe you would do this to me, to our family, to create forged documents and make these horrible accusations at my baby shower." "They're not forged," Marcus said, his voice carrying across the silent backyard. "Mom, we have 8 months of evidence. Credit card receipts for prosthetic baby bellies, records showing you've never been a patient at any prenatal clinic in Sacramento, documentation of everything you've purchased to fake this pregnancy." Marcus's grandmother dropped the baby quilt she'd been holding. "This can't be true." Luna pulled out more evidence, spreading it on the gift table like an autopsy of Patricia's deception. She's been taking hormonal supplements to create pregnancy symptoms. She's been buying increasingly larger fake pregnancy bellies to simulate the progression. She's been researching pregnancy announcements and baby shower planning for over a year. The guests stood in stunned silence, trying to process what they were hearing. Some looked at the evidence with growing understanding. Others stared at Patricia as if seeing her for the first time. "Patricia," said Helen, Marcus's aunt, her voice barely above a whisper, "is this true?" For a moment, Patricia looked like she might continue denying everything. She could see her calculating, weighing her options, considering whether she could somehow salvage the situation. Then something shifted in Patricia's expression. The maternal warmth disappeared, replaced by something cold and angry. "Fine," Patricia said, her voice sharp and entirely different from the gentle tone she had been using throughout her fake pregnancy. "You want truth? Here's the truth." She reached under her dress and pulled out what was clearly a prosthetic pregnancy belly, holding it up for everyone to see. The silence in the backyard was deafening. "I've been faking this pregnancy for 8 months. Every doctor appointment, every ultrasound, every symptom, all of it was fake." Richard's face had gone completely white. "Patricia, why?" Patricia laughed, a sound nothing like the warm maternal chuckle Luna had heard for months. "Because I was losing control of this family, Richard. Marcus got married and suddenly I wasn't the most important woman in his life. David was starting to get serious with his girlfriend. You were all moving on without me." She gestured toward Luna with obvious content. She came into our family thinking she could just take over, planning her perfect wedding, expecting everyone to treat her like a princess, acting like she deserved the same attention and respect I've earned over 26 years of building this family. Luna felt like she was watching Patricia's true personality emerge after months of carefully maintained performance.
So I gave myself a reason to be the center of attention again, Patricia continued. A pregnancy at my age was shocking enough to guarantee that everyone would focus on me, that every family gathering, every conversation, every decision would revolve around what I needed. Marcus's grandfather, a man who had lived through the Depression and World War II, looked like he was seeing something beyond his comprehension. You lied to us about a baby for 8 months? I gave you 8 months of excitement and anticipation, Patricia shot back. 8 months of hope and joy and family togetherness. How is that worse than the truth? That your family was falling apart because no one wanted to spend time together anymore unless there was something dramatic to celebrate? David, who had been silent throughout the revelation, finally spoke. Mom, we bought cribs. We painted a nursery. Grandma and Grandpa have been knitting baby clothes for months. And you all loved every minute of it, Patricia said defiantly. Don't pretend you didn't enjoy feeling like a family again. Don't pretend you weren't excited about this baby. We were excited about a baby that doesn't exist, Marcus shouted, his composure finally breaking. We've been living in a lie for 8 months. Patricia turned to her son with something like disappointment. Marcus, I did this for our family, to bring us together, to give us something to be excited about. And you're destroying that for her. She pointed at Luna with undisguised hatred. You did this because you couldn't stand not being the center of attention, Luna said, finding her voice again. You announced your fake pregnancy at our wedding reception. You manipulated every family gathering for 8 months. You made people buy gifts and make plans for a baby that was never coming. And I would do it again, Patricia said, lifting her chin defiantly. Because at least during those 8 months, this family acted like they cared about each other. The guests began leaving without saying goodbye. Luna watched as people she'd known for 2 years walked past her without making eye contact, as if she were somehow responsible for destroying their faith in Patricia. Some looked angry, others just looked broken. Marcus's grandparents left their handmade baby quilt on a chair, unable to take it with them, but unwilling to give it to Patricia. David and his girlfriend slipped away without speaking to anyone. The baby shower dissolved as quietly as a nightmare ending. Within an hour, only Luna, Marcus, Patricia, and Richard remained in the backyard, surrounded by baby shower decorations that now looked like evidence of a crime scene. Patricia had changed out of her maternity dress into regular clothes, the pretense finally abandoned completely. Without the fake pregnancy belly and the maternal performance, she looked smaller, older, and somehow ordinary. I want you both out of my house, Patricia said, no longer bothering with warmth or manipulation. And I want you to know that you've destroyed this family. Whatever happens now, it's your fault. No, Mom, Marcus said quietly. What happens now is the consequence of what you did, what you chose to do for 8 months. As Luna and Marcus gathered their evidence and prepared to leave, Richard finally spoke. Patricia, I don't know who you are anymore. Patricia looked at her husband of 26 years with something like pity. Richard, I'm exactly who I've always been. You just never bothered to pay close enough attention to notice. 6 months later, Luna and Marcus were living in a different house in a different city, 2 hours away from Sacramento. Marcus had taken a job transferred to San Francisco, and Luna had built a new client base for her graphic design business. They'd been through extensive couples therapy and had emerged stronger but scarred.
The Blackwood family had imploded completely. Richard had filed for divorce within 2 months of the baby shower revelation. Marcus's grandparents had stopped speaking to Patricia entirely. David had moved to Oregon and spoke to his mother only through lawyers regarding family financial matters. Patricia had eventually been charged with fraud for the fake medical document she'd used to maintain her deception. She'd served 4 months in county jail and was now living alone in a small apartment, working as a cashier at a grocery store. Luna had learned that exposing the truth doesn't always lead to justice or healing. Some of Marcus's extended family still blamed her for destroying Patricia, as if revealing lies was worse than telling them. Others had apologized and tried to maintain relationships, but the trust was gone. "Do you ever regret it?" Marcus asked one evening as they sat on the deck of their new home, watching the sunset over San Francisco Bay. Luna considered the question carefully. They'd lost most of Marcus's family. They'd spent thousands of dollars in therapy. They had had to rebuild their entire lives from scratch. "No," she said finally, "because now we know what we're capable of surviving. We know we can trust each other completely, and we know that the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living in someone else's lie." Marcus nodded, taking her hand. "I just never imagined that standing up to my mother would cost us everything." "It didn't cost us everything," Luna said. "It cost us the illusion of family that Patricia had created. The real family, what we've built together, that's stronger than ever." A year later, Luna discovered she was actually pregnant. The irony wasn't lost on her that she was experiencing the genuine joy Patricia had simulated. But this pregnancy belonged to Luna and Marcus alone. They told no one until the second trimester, and they shared no ultrasound photos on social media. Their daughter was born on a quiet Tuesday morning in March, 2 years and 4 months after Patricia's fake pregnancy announcement had upended their wedding reception. They named her Hope, not because they were optimistic people, but because they had learned the difference between hope based on truth and hope based on lies. Luna often thought about the other women who might be dealing with manipulative family members, wondering if they were documenting strange behavior or questioning their own sanity. She hoped her story might help someone else recognize the signs earlier, set boundaries sooner, trust their instincts faster. The legacy of Patricia's deception wasn't just the destruction it caused, but the clarity it provided. Luna had learned that some people will create elaborate lies to maintain control, that family relationships built on manipulation aren't worth preserving, and that the truth, no matter how devastating, is always the foundation for genuine love. Standing in her daughter's nursery, Luna realized she'd become the mother she'd wished she'd had, someone who would tell the truth even when it was difficult, someone who would choose reality over comfortable illusions, someone who would protect her child from the kind of elaborate emotional manipulation that nearly destroyed Luna's marriage. The greatest victory wasn't exposing Patricia's lies. It was building a life based on truth, trust, and the kind of love that doesn't require lies to sustain it. That was Patricia's real legacy, teaching Luna exactly what kind of mother, wife, and woman she never wanted to become.
Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.